Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters, friends. I hope everyone is well. So we're here with Subboor. Assalamu alaikum. So I've got Subboor here for a very specific reason today. I want you to watch a clip from the News Nation interview done by Ross Coulthart about 2 weeks ago of a new whistleblower.
Yep.
So you know, back in the day we did a response to Louis Elizondo. He came out and said that there's UFOs and
very credible congressional hearing.
yeah,
and
he testified eventually,
Yep.
right? But this is a new whistleblower now that's come out, right? And he is basically saying that he was a part of the crash retrievals team. So the guys that were sent out to pick up these UFOs or UAPs and bring them back to certain secure facilities and stuff like this. So he's the guy that's first-hand dealing with this stuff. So this is a big deal for everyone because, you know, he's the guy that's actually seen this stuff and worked with this stuff and things like this. So I want to play a clip to you because everyone, even when I've mentioned this to you now, you're probably thinking this is some, you know, serious material stuff, right? He's a guy, he's picking up crash retrieval. Maybe it's UFOs, maybe it's advanced technology from another country, who knows, right? But he's picking up this stuff and you're expecting it to be a very technical discussion. Yeah. But I want to play the clip for you because it took a turn in a very different way, and I want to get your thoughts on what's going on. Yeah?
Sure.
I make my way in the helicopter from where we configure the line and we fly to where what we call the pick site. There's two locations. We designate them pick site, drop site. Drop site at the delivery location. We have a crew both at the pick site and the drop site on the ground. The pick team configures the cargo for flight.
So whatever it is, the craft is sitting in a sling waiting for your helicopter.
Yeah, it's sitting. We have these things called pumpkins, which are like rubberized bags or containers. And from my point of view, it was covered in a pumpkin, at least from the bottom and the sides. This is one of the most profound experiences I've ever had in my life I'm about to share with you. So bear with me. This is, for me, when it became clear. As I get closer to this pick site, I start feeling odd. I start feeling extremely emotional. And the closer I get, the more the emotion starts to overwhelm me. And
What do you feel? What's the emotion?
I feel a sense of my mother. I don't know how else to explain it. I feel this intense hybrid of sadness and happiness and beauty and song. And it was very disruptive to me because I had a very practical responsibility at the time to operate a helicopter in the mountains at night. And I began wondering what was wrong with me. It was late. I'm like, am I just stressed? Am I tired? Am I marinating in cortisol and estrogen? I don't know. But as I came over this object for the pick, there was this overwhelming sense of emotion.
What's it saying? The object. Tell me what you're feeling.
Like I said, it was an overwhelming sense of sadness, happiness.
Is it your feeling? Are you suddenly having a mental breakdown on the job?
No, I felt like something connected with me. I felt like something had tuned in to me and my soul and was providing me some sense of guidance on what to do and how profound what I was doing was. And it was so overwhelming that I began to cry. And
I can't imagine crying at night time with night vision goggles is the healthiest way to fly a chopper.
no, it is not. And then I'm confused as to why I'm crying at the same time. And then do I abort the mission? So I just did my best to focus on my particular cues when doing this type of work, and I got the load hooked up and I began flying away. And once it was just me and that object in between the pick and the drop site, there was about 20 miles in between, I felt like something was inside of me. I felt like I was possessed by the most beautiful spirit I'd ever been possessed by. And
was it loving?
it was loving. But there was a sense of sadness at the same time. And
Had you ever had an experience like this before?
no, it was a very feminine energy. I'll tell you that. It felt like the spirit of God, but not in any masculine sense that I had ever felt. It was like, again, the feeling of my mother, and my daughter, and beauty. And it wasn't like a soul, it was like a frequency that I was connected with.
Was it scared?
I don't know if it is a thing. I'm still trying to figure out.
Wow. That.
So
You can see a lot of sincerity there.
Yeah.
You can see there's something. It's very hard. You
By
see,
the way, this guy's a military guy. You know, they're hard. They're tough. They're trained to deal with tough situations. And to see him break down like that over this experience he has it's actually quite powerful in a way, isn't it?
you know, I'll tell you something. It's not the case of him having this experience and, in his words, marinating in estrogen or
Yeah.
having these types of feelings.
That's him trying to rationalize it.
But it's the fact that when he's talking, you are a witness to this. I didn't want to play the clip before.
Yes,
Let me
yeah.
get my raw reaction. That feeling that he's talking about, why is it that many people, including myself, can resonate with exactly what he's talking about?
You can resonate with it yourself.
Yeah, we cannot to the same level, same limit. Aren't there times that we are in a place when we're like, there's something very, very demonic about this location. There's something very demonic about somebody here. Or there's like a place you go to and you're like, there's a negative something going on. Like you get this overwhelming thing. And I'll tell you something. I was once in a masjid, and I was staying in the masjid. I was actually with Tablighi Jamaat. This is years ago, right? Tablighi Jamaat, for those of you who don't know, you get together and you go to different places. And so I was somebody that, I just I thought this would be a good time, just go to the mosque, pray, do something good, isn't it? So this is years ago, and I went, and I just felt something like what he's talking about. I felt something when I was in the mosque. I felt maybe I just started getting emotional. I was in the wudu area, and I was thinking, what's going on with me? This is so odd. And I realized there's something evil within me that couldn't handle me being in the mosque. There's something in, like you're in the mosque and you're around the name of Allah, you're around Muslims, you're around people praying, and if you're not used to that, and you're there, you're staying the night there, you're with them, something. And do you know what? Do you remember the Imam down the road, the Harsden, the Nigerian breakdancing Imam?
Yes.
He's doing that.
Yeah.
Imam Mustafa. Breakdancing, as he used to do breakdancing before he started practicing. He had the same experience when he went on Tablighi Jamaat in the wudu area. The same thing happened to him. He started crying.
So what would you?
So what I would say is, here he had something else.
Yeah.
In the case of myself and in the case of that Imam, when we were on Jamaat in our separate locations and separate experiences, it was something evil that couldn't handle and was leaving that area. In this case, there's something demonic going down. And do you know what? I'll tell you something strange.
Yeah.
You know me, like I was in a totally different mood before watching the video. Yeah. When he was talking, I know exactly what he's talking about. Because there are times when you get, there's things which are happening around you. Like, look, Rupert Sheldrake speaks about this. He speaks about consciousness interacting with the world. We seem to think consciousness is within this cranium, but then he gives this example. You're walking down the road, you feel someone's looking at you, you happen to look up at a particular window, and of all the buildings, there's somebody staring at you. Yeah. When he is talking, I know when there's something else within the environment which interacts with you. So when he's talking, I was actually imagining that.
Yeah, but isn't it weird Now, most of the those that in the whole UFO circles online that are inclined towards more of a materialistic explanation or an extraterrestrial explanation, they've gone quite silent, some of them at least, in regards to these claims of Barbers, Jake Barbers, yeah? Because they just can't make sense of it. They're expecting a crash retrieval type of thing. Okay, real physical stuff, picked it up, dropped it off, bam, job done. He's coming out with he was connected with something possessed him, something overtook him.
Look,
even that language.
Okay. Why is there a level of credibility in this claim? The level of credibility is due to the coherence of multiple independent experiences of something similar. Now, you remember the Irish brother who used to be with us? I'm not going to say his name.
Yep.
Wonderful brother who used to,
Yep.
we used to see him around. We still see him around now sometimes. So he converted to Islam, and before converting to Islam, he was an atheist. And one of the things that he spoke about is when he went and got drunk as a non-Muslim in the forest in Ireland, he urinated under a tree and a demonic force overcame him.
Yeah.
Now, he had that demonic thing for years. I saw it when it came out in Ruqya, so did you.
Yeah.
However, Suleiman upstairs,
Yeah.
the Imam, right, he was praying, and one day that brother came to pray. And he didn't know who that brother was.
Yeah.
But he finished his prayer and he felt there was something behind him. And later on he found out, oh, there's a brother who has Jinn issue. Okay, him. Like what this brother is speaking about, what this man is speaking about, what's his name?
Jake Barber.
This Jake Barber, this brother of ours in humanity, because I felt a connection. You know, when he's going through this and he's explaining this.
Yeah.
Because when you have your own emotion, Imran,
Yeah.
it builds up slowly. It's like a slowly temperature rising. Okay? But when you have something external, it's instant. He's a military man.
Yeah.
He probably does what the military people do, which is exercise. They're built mentally strong, physically strong, cognitively strong
This guy and his
culture, all
team
this.
was used for special operations. These weren't just the average military, bro.
Even his way of talking, you know he's military and obviously he's got the credentials for it. They don't break down easily.
Yeah.
They've seen horrific stuff.
Yeah.
They have to do crazy type of training. If you're going to break, you're going to break during that training.
Yeah.
You're not going to break just on a normal pickup
Yeah.
site to go do some retrieval of some sort of objects. So give me the context here. They were picking up some sort of
So
objects.
he was used to, he worked on what they refer to as the range in the Californian desert, basically. Secret military operations, testing out new craft. So his team will be sent out when something will crash. They wouldn't say, normally it would be man-made tech that they were testing out. And it would crash and they would go retrieve it, take it back to the base. But on one or two occasions, they were sent out to pick up things which are of non-human origin, right? Which are not man-made. And this was one of those incidents where he went to pick up one of these things and he had this experience. Furthermore, bro, what you don't see in the clip is he says that thing stayed with him and that thing has influenced him or is influencing him now to do some of the stuff he's doing, right? Furthermore, there is this aspect of what they refer to as psionics, right? He's a part of the psionics team now. Because he's running his own thing outside the government and now he's coming out with this stuff. The Psionics team, bro, basically, is what they believe is that certain individuals from certain parts of the world, especially third world countries, people, and his explanation is people who aren't contaminated from a social cultural perspective, they're more spiritual. So the government is utilizing these people from the third world. Some say children as well, right? Because they're more in tune with intuition and spirituality, etc. They're getting these people and they are getting them to go into a certain conscious or subconscious state and then try to connect with these NHI, non-human intelligences, or these beings. They actually, and he's come out with this and he said this, and they're trying to connect with these things. So they obviously don't know what's going on from their perspective. This is something very new and novel, right? There's this entity or a being or some sort of intelligence that's out there, and there seems to be some interaction with human consciousness. And there seem to be certain people who are from the third world, Native Americans, they said as well, or children. These people, they put them into get them to relax into a certain psychological state, and then they could connect with these entities and things would appear in the sky when they make these connections. And they are testing this and recording this. All of this stuff, they can't make sense of it. How do you understand it, bro?
Look, in isolation, I would reject what he's saying.
Yeah.
In isolation, I would reject, for example, what you've said to me.
Yeah.
But the only thing that makes me think of there's something more to it is the fact that this corroborates the other things that people have experienced. Like you're talking about using children to connect.
Yeah.
I had a conversation many years ago with John Fontaine when he went to Africa, when
Yeah.
he didn't know the haramness of magic. So
Yes.
this is around the time he converted to Islam, and he was a new Muslim. He didn't know certain things, and when he went to a village in Sierra Leone, that witch doctor was a boy. They are using children
Yeah, they
in
do.
these things,
Yeah.
right? So there is something to this. There's something.
What connection are you making? Because it seems like you're.
I mean, the
when you
jinn
speak-
connection is there.
Okay, yeah.
The
So you
jinn
haven't mentioned
connection-
that because it seems like you know what's
I
being
mean, look,
spoken about, but you're
look,
not.
the jinn connection is there. You cannot make. I believe with what we know of absolute reality. What we know of absolute reality is that jinn exists. Can we say with absolute certainty that they are extraterrestrial beings? No.
No. Yeah.
We don't know that. What we do know is that with absolute certainty, there is jinn. Now, could it be that all that is out there in terms of all these interactions, this man and all the people that have had all the supposed UFO experiences, could it be that all of this is a hoax, but jinns exist? Or could it be that it's a hoax plus jinns messing around? Or could it be that it's actually jinn plus aliens? We don't know.
They're not even saying aliens, by the way.
What we do know is that what we do know from a very liberal lexical understanding, jinns are aliens.
Okay.
As in, they are from outside of the earth because they mess around. They may be from another planet. They may be from here. They may be there. A jinn basically is going out and coming back.
That's an interesting. But then these guys that are in the know, in the inner circles, they are not even saying it's extraterrestrial. When that guy Ross Coulthard, the interviewer, asks him in the same interview, "Are they extraterrestrials?" He doesn't acknowledge that. He says, "Well, it depends on what we mean by that. It may be extraterrestrial. It may be ultra-dimensional, ultra-terrestrial. So other beings that inhabit this earth in a different plane."
Yeah.
They're open-minded with this.
So let me put it to you another way.
Yeah.
Let me put it to you another way. In the Quran, it mentions certain things, and those things have to be of importance. The Quran wouldn't mention anything without a reason.
Yeah.
Okay. In the Quran, is there a repetitive, consistent mention of demonic forces interacting with mankind?
100%.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right near the end, the most important thing that we do for our protection is which surah?
We recite Ayatul Kursi as a
No,
verse.
in the Quran, what's the last?
Surah Nas.
Okay. Does it have a reference to something demonic?
Yes.
Where?
In the surah, we seek refuge
Exactly.
from the evil.
All of the evil,
Yeah.
right? And from the evil whisperer.
Yes.
Okay, so there is evil whisperers. Okay, now what I do want to do is go to the last verse of Surah Nas. What is it?
As you're finding it, what's very interesting, you mentioned the point about waswasa, what we call, or whispers, right? One of the main ways that the shayateen, the evil jinn, affect humans is through this whispering, right? Almost this voice inside your own head. Right?
Okay, so I like to be very precise with the Quran.
Yes.
Okay, so in this surah we are learning to be seeking refuge from Allah.
With
So with Allah from the evils that we're going to be talking about, and one of them is from the mischief of the whispering elusive prompter or devil, who returns again and again, who whispers in the heart of mankind, whether he be the jinn or humans. Okay, now what is interesting here is there's a merger between the human and the demonic, the
Yes.
human and the non-physical here.
Yep.
Okay, what we are seeing in terms of many of the stories that come out, the Irish brother, our own experiences. I don't know if I told you about the policeman that I spoke to that used to be an atheist that had an experience with the supernatural and that made him believe in God.
Can't remember.
Right?
Yeah.
So all of these things, what does it go to show you? There is a constant, consistent interaction between the physical humans and the demonic forces.
Yes.
They are there. Which is why Muslims every Muslim household you go to, they will tell you a particular jinn story. I have my own jinn stories. Hijab and me did this funny jinn story thing that he had on his when he was younger. Everyone has it.
Yeah.
But why is it that also non-Muslims have it? The reason why non-Muslims have it, even though they've never heard of jinn, is because jinns are interacting with people.
Yeah, of course.
We had the same neighborhood a few years ago. We were both living within 2-minute walking distance to each other. On King Street, I was walking, and to protect identity, I will not say who, but I spoke to a Muslim woman who gave me a story which confirmed for me that on that King Street there was somebody that was using jinn to find out information about what's happening in Pakistan to her family. Why is this consistently happening?
Yeah.
Because we know that there are people out there who understand the arts, who understand the arts of using the jinn and doing the shirk. And because you seeking help from jinn, seeking help from the dead, seeking help from anything other than Allah is shirk.
Yeah.
It's the greatest shirk. So these people, and the woman that I was speaking to, she was talking to me about someone who is a known mushrik, a known mushrik. So all of these things we have to keep in mind. We have to use that framework, that conceptual framework, to look at his story. Now, his story, the way I understood it, is that was a jinn which had managed to manipulate him into feeling a certain way, maybe to make him, because remember they're deceptive. So he got the feeling of love, but that may have been a deceptive feeling, right? To make him crash the helicopter. Why? Because it could have been that the mushrik who sent this jinn to protect that particular pickup site because they had some technology there.
Interesting.
That happens.
So that's an interesting.
Just like our common friend who urinated on that tree and the jinn overtook him because the jinn was possessing that tree.
Yeah.
Likewise, John Fontaine, when he was traveling around and he's doing stuff and he was with a bunch of people who were doing magic. One of the things that they were using the jinn for was protection. So they use jinn, which is obviously shirk, to do protection of their particular things. So they had to go through an airport. There was seher that was done to a particular briefcase. In front of John, the briefcase was lifted. The items that they were trying to smuggle in, the guy at the customs could not see those.
Yeah.
Because there was something going on, right? There was magic done. So in this particular case, the way I would read it is I wouldn't count in physical green little men. I would count in, there's some sort of item which has been protected through some person doing shirk to actually make anyone possessed who is going to retrieve that.
Or there could be, so that's an interesting take. Me and Farouk didn't think of it from that perspective, but it could be, we've got a different take on exactly why that engagement possibly happened. That tech itself, that object that crashed, which they're referring to as tech, may be linked to jinn directly as well. And there may be a greater plan for the future. So Jake is being used almost, like you said, the element of deception, appearing as this loving energy to convince him that whatever is interacting with him is good. So he sticks with it. He listens to it.
You have the story of Sulaiman alayhi salam.
Yeah.
And he had many jinn that were working for him.
Yes.
And he also had a particular jinn that could travel extremely fast and bring the throne.
Objects in a
So
second,
why is it not possible that jinns have a level of, maybe they've been developing technologies, or maybe they don't need that technology because they have certain skills themselves?
Yeah.
Or it could also...
But on that point, you know what Farouk said, we were talking about this the other day. Because this is the same, you think about, jinn seem to have certain capabilities which may remove the need for tech. So jinn could fly, at least some jinn could fly, right? So there's no need for craft, you would assume. But Farouk said something brilliant. He said, look, humans can walk. Why do we ride bikes? Why do we get in cars? Why do we make planes? Because it's not a necessity always. Sometimes it's just it's ease in some other way. So you will make some sort of tech or something. Either way, but the point here, which is interesting, is that Allah refers to the jinn that He put under the control of Sulaiman as what? Builders and divers. Allah specifically refers to the jinn as builders, bro. That's a label Allah is giving them. That means they build. If they build, what are they building? They're building things, right? Tech is a part of that, objects. In the time of Ibn Taymiyyah, in his essays, he mentioned certain Sufi sheikhs were given devices by the jinn that they could communicate with the jinn through. Right? So the point is that there's a lot of, and these are just two, there's many references to highlight that the jinn potentially, and the chances are, it seems like they have their own tech, right? Just like humans, and they've lived much longer than us, they've been there for much longer than us, right? So the chances are they've probably developed things much in far more, extravagant ways than we have. Now, there may be an ultimate objective as to why they are now appearing in the form of aliens or ET and delivering this technology. One of the thoughts I had in mind was, look, governments of the world, bro, if you think about it, what is one of their objectives? They always want to have the upper hand, right? China wants to have the upper hand over America. America wants to have the upper hand over China. America wants to have the upper hand over Russia. Russia wants it over America, etc. There's always this power dynamic. Now imagine you got access to this technology, which was like 1,000 years more advanced than what you have. What are you going to do with it, bro? One, you're going to cover it up. Two, you're going to try to exploit it so you can get the upper hand, bro.
And you know what's interesting about that? Your technology is only as good as the ability you have to conceal it.
Yes.
For example, the introduction of something as primitive as gunpowder compared to what we have today. However, gunpowder, once we have discovered the ability to produce it, then another nation will do it and you've lost your advantage. Why would anybody who develops a sufficiently advanced technology which can be used against the opponents of the state or the opponents of a particular individual, why would they want that to be given to someone for free?
Of course, they'll conceal it.
Let's look at a few things. Jinns exist. Do they interact with people? Yes. Do they influence people? Yes. Do they build technology? Yes. Okay.
They built things for Suleiman, Islam, right?
Is there an interaction between evil people using jinn?
Absolutely.
Okay.
100%. Yeah.
Is there a incentive? When you look at a crime scene, what does the police do? Who would want this to happen? Who would want this murder to happen? Who would want to steal? Must be a junkie. Is there a incentive to protect, conceal technology? Yes.
Yes.
You add that together, all of this is coherent.
Yeah. Jake, he's like one of the, he doesn't know, right? Let's be honest. Like the perspective we're talking about, he doesn't have access to this perspective, right?
And you know what's interesting about this?
But even then, bro, he uses words like possessed. We summon these craft through our Psionics team. Bro, this language is being used for a specific reason. That itself tells us that it's most likely linked to what we're talking about here. Because these terms are used for the jinn by magicians throughout history. Anyway, what you were saying?
Yeah, I think overall, one of the things I was actually thinking about, and I said this to Farouk earlier, I said, we have obviously, and I'm not talking about this video, I'm not talking about a particular incident, just generally. We have credible evidence now, I think it's pretty credible, that there is some clear interaction between human beings and demonic forces at a level greater than we've previously known in history.
Yes.
Okay? There is that, clear. But the easiest way to discredit that information getting out there is by sending in people who will make outlandish, ridiculous claims while making the same claims that we do.
Yeah.
So, for example, you'll get somebody who'll say, yeah, you know what? There are these demonic forces. But you know, the royal family, they also like, this, you understand? Now, maybe that guy who I'm referring to, right? Maybe he's not one of them. Maybe he's just genuinely believes that. But I do believe there are people out there, because what do you need to do? If you want to discredit your opponents, then you take your opponent's argument and you send in a few quacks that repeat your opponent's argument, but they repeat it with some quackery.
Yeah.
And then people are like...
Wholesale is all rubbish.
Wholesale nonsense. Which is why, it's kind of like this. We're having a debate between an atheist and a Muslim. I make the case for Islam. I speak about the prophecies, the sociological miracle of the Quran, the linguistic miracle of the Quran, the predictions of the Prophet, peace be upon him, liar, deluded, truthful, as a logical argument, and XYZ. And then I also bring in the miracle of the number 19.
Yes.
You know, that whole
Yeah, yeah,
nonsense
yeah,
that
yeah,
happened,
yeah.
right? Everyone's going to ignore all of this
Yeah.
solid stuff, and they're going to go with, oh, look at that. This,
Yeah.
this is what this guy believes
And it
in.
undermines everything else. Yeah.
Everything that they believe in. So I think that's what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, and this is the thing. We're getting to the point now, bro. If you follow the story, there's so much information coming out now. It's impossible to keep a lid on it, basically, right? So it's just too much has come out, right? Too much has come out. So it's interesting, bro. Jazakallah khair. I want to get your take on this, yeah? Any message for Jake? You never know if he ever watches this video, bro. What would you... Because remember, I believe he's honest,
Well,
right?
yeah.
And he
No,
doesn't-
100%.
I don't think he knows exactly what he's dealing with, and he admits this himself.
If he, for a moment, was somebody that was making this up, then he would have made up a complete story, a coherent story, added some extra. Here, he doesn't even give away that much. He
Yeah.
just goes over what he felt.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what I would say to Jake is, you need to look at your experience in the context of all the other people who've had a similar experience. And then ask yourself the question, were you deluded when this was happening to you? Was it real? The way to answer that question is by asking people, and when you see the people that you're asking giving you almost an identical experience to yours in a different location with different emotions but a different context, but the same fundamental issue of there was something that overcame
Connecting
me.
with me, overcoming me, possessing.
All of that,
Yeah.
and messing with your emotions, and you know it's something.
Yeah.
You can feel it. Then the question is, are you deluded or is it real? And you'll realize it's real.
Yeah.
Which is why I believe his story based upon the fact that we've seen so many other similar things. And so my message to him would be, connect to people who are... in fact, I think we should invite him. I think we should speak to him. You know, I'd love to get a discussion going with him and ask him questions and just let him explain his
Yeah,
perspective.
we'll tweet the video to him on Twitter, so maybe you'll pick up on it. You never know. Because I think it's good, bro. With this, what they're referring to as the phenomenon, I think they're never going to understand it purely from a scientific perspective, bro. Right? They have to look at it from every different perspective. You mentioned from every different cultural perspective that's spoken about the same thing. But they have to bring in sociology, they have to bring in philosophy, they should bring in logic, religion, right? History. You have to look at it through all of these lenses, and then you'll get a collective whole, basically, a clearer picture as to what's going on. If you just purely do it through materialistic sciences, you're not going to get far.
100%.
Right? You're not going to get far. But anyway, I think we'll wrap up there, bro. Jazakallah khair. And we'll do another video with you soon on this topic, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum, guys.